Taco coming to you live from the end of day one of Paris Blockchain Week, and we are here with the one and only, the man of many hats,
Brock Pierce.
How you doing tonight, man?
Well, good, and it's always a pleasure to bump into you.
Dude, it's an honor. I'll be honest, like, you are one of the pillars that I've always looked up to. I think I first sort of recognized you and saw you like 2018-ish. So, like, when actually getting to connect with you, like, in the years that followed and just seeing you everywhere, you know, it's always an honor and great thing to sort of see that. I don't want to say you have a finger in everything, but, like, I don't know, with the beautiful hair, maybe like a lock and everything.
Definitely the hair's grown out, and I try to stay aware of everything, and I'm always trying to see how I can be helpful. And so, you know, if you don't sleep and you care a lot and you got the right locks, you know, these things can happen.
So for me, it's my life is large, copious amounts of crypto, caffeine, and cigars. And that seems to keep me with a finger in everything. So you have a very long history of being in blockchain for so long. Where would people know you from originally?
In blockchain?
Originally.
Well, generally, my first life in this life was in movies. So I grew up acting from the age of 3. Movies like Mighty Ducks, played Gordon Bombay, opened the movie, The Triple Deke, the famous failed shot, and then the redemption story that ensues. First kid, play son of the President of the United States of America with Sinbad. And then I became, I think, the youngest institutionally backed internet entrepreneur at 16 in 1997, creating the first streaming kind of video company. Mark Cuban did broadcast.com. We did Digital Entertainment Network, and we were trying to do internet television, repurposed, user-generated, you know, original webisodes. We pioneered most of that. My team went on to go create Amazon original, Apple. I mean, other than YouTube, that alumni kind of had a hand in most of the digital media sort of transformation of the world. And then I got into digital currency. I ran all the markets for World of Warcraft and Second Life and launched Alipay, instrumental in that, PayPal's largest merchant for years. All your World of Warcraft gold and stuff. The original miners.
The gold farming of World of Warcraft was awesome. So the blockchain history of you, people might know you from a lot of different things. One of the biggest probably being USDT. So I know the history of USDT and what really sort of funded it. And it doesn't have, I don't want to say a dark past, but like it has a long past. So how has USDT worked to overcome that?
Well, started Tether in 2014. It was born out of Mastercoin for me. The other side of the deal was born out of Bitfinex. And so we were one of the first 3 layer 2s on Bitcoin. You had Colored Coins, Counterparty, and us. And we were the first ICO. We were the first ones to do a tokenized sale. And so we were a layer 2 on Bitcoin in 2013. And I recognized the need for a digital dollar. Another one of my later partners, Dan Larimer and Charles Hodgkinson at the time, had BitShares, and they created BitUSD, which was an algorithmic stablecoin, and me and a couple partners were the largest holders. And I figured out very quickly that I could break the buck. It was very vulnerable. A stable algorithmic coin needs enormous scale. And so I said, well, the idea is necessary, but how does one do it? I'm like, well, maybe a federated banking system, put it on a layer 2 on Bitcoin, and like an American Express cashier's check. And so we built it, we launched it, and you know, it's been a long road. Everyone in the industry, I don't think there was one person in the industry that agreed with me it was a good idea. But it was, clearly. That's evident now.
USDT has allowed more P2P, peer-to-peer transactions around the world for the unbanked than any other currency.
Yeah, I mean,
more than Bitcoin.
It's on its way to 100 trillion a year in transactional volume. They've got 145 billion now in deposits. 85 billion of U.S. treasuries, bigger than any company in the world other than governments, top 20. It's changing how trade finance works, how settlement in the world, on banking in the world, cross-border transactions, 24/7 economies. It's obviously one of the biggest innovations ever. Certainly in finance, and thanks to Bitcoin. And so, naturally, anytime you are in a ginormous success in anything, you're going to take a lot of flack.
You're going to be the target of...
Haters are going to hate.
Haters, bad actors, and even just good actors trying to tear you apart from a devil's advocate perspective to try to find flaws to help build you up. So even detractors and attractors can try to tear you down.
Yeah, no, but this is a natural side effect of success. Look at Elon Musk right now. Success and then having the courage to do what you believe is right, being brave and bold. And, higher levels, higher devils. The bigger you get, the more obstacles you face. They're just challenges and opportunities to learn, as you said, to be challenged for the purposes of growth.
Yeah.
So don't take it, personally, as long as you can look in the mirror and know in your heart that you're doing the right thing and doing the best you can.
Intent.
Yeah. And that, the road to hell is paved with good intentions too. So, try to get other opinions and rely on trusted people. Not every, troll on the internet, obviously. But
wait,
sure
I shouldn't follow Jeff 40999 advice to kill myself?
Absolutely not. And so, but life.
Sorry, Jeff.
But life is in having, finding your moral compass outside of yourself, right? Your sounding boards. The people whose opinions and integrity that you can rely on.
Yeah.
Because we all have to have checks and balances. And if everything passes, go through life knowing you're doing the right thing and do it with confidence. Don't let, someone else's opinion cause you to operate from a place of fear, uncertainty, or doubt. That's not going to get you where you need to go. Fear, is that deterrent that's actually going to bring you down in the end.
So you've done a lot of different things in blockchain, and you've onboarded a lot of different people. One of the stories I love is the original. You were just one of many people that used to do it. I even did it a little bit here and there. Hey, set up a Bitcoin wallet and I'll send you 1 Bitcoin.
I wish I didn't do it like that. But yes, Every time I gave a speech in 2013, 2014, even into 2015, and I did it all the time, I told the audiences at every university, every event, download a Bitcoin wallet and I'll give you free Bitcoin at the end of this talk. And I'd stick around for an hour, 2, 3, just to hook people up. But almost everyone lost it because people didn't value anything where they didn't give something. There was no consideration. I should have made them do something.
Follow a Twitter account even.
Do something, some commitment, or made even, I'll give you $10 for $1. Some value exchange, because it was given too easily. At the time, I thought it was a great way to teach people. In hindsight, it was hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe $1 billion, I don't even know, but
probably in the billions.
A lot of Bitcoin given away, and almost all of it lost.
So what I like to refer to that to is when they're making whiskey. Let's say it's 100 gallons.
The angel's share.
The angel's share. It's 100 gallons, and then when it's done, it's 98. And we have so much Bitcoin that will never see the light of day again.
I definitely made my contributions for the Angels share.
Yes. So, but it's one of those things because it's a talking point. People don't think you're going to actually do it, you know, or like, what? What is that? But it's a really good action, call to action. Do something, and something will happen. And that's sort of what Web3 has sort of been really about, is do something and something will happen. It's that permissionless side of things. A, B will always happen, you know? So you've also started dabbling, well, I wouldn't say dabbling. You ran for president.
I did run for president of the United States of America, and I'm very involved in advising the world's governments.
Around the world. You had a very big hand in RFK's original presidency campaign as well.
Yeah, Kennedy's a good friend, and glad that we were able to build infrastructure and bring team together and movement together to support his run for presidency, which has resulted in him being in one of the most important offices in the world as Secretary of Health and Human Services that can hopefully transform our global sick care system actually into a healthcare system.
Yeah. No, and that's a really cool thing to see all of the actions that have been moving forward. I honestly thought he was going to be going, like Trump was going to put him like AG, and
I would have been okay with that.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
I think HHS is a bigger deal.
I 100% agree with you. And so one of the things that we've seen here is like a movement, like not only with Maha and everything like that, but with Doge, we've seen a big move. And like you were saying earlier, just cutting of like, but being very transparent. And these are the two things that brought me into crypto 2013. Transparency and consistency. And that's what we're starting to see now. And no one is liking everything being put out in the light.
Well, because it exposes things that some don't want to be seen. It's uncovering government corruption. It's uncovering waste, which is embarrassing to those that were complicit or weren't doing their jobs in it. And so naturally, anytime you're bringing, things to the surface and into the light, it's not going to make everyone happy because it creates uncomfortable situations. But it's a necessary process, and I'm just so grateful to see the values and principles that have brought us into this industry beginning to vibrate and resonate and affect our system of governance or government, because we are a system of governance, and our movement is rubbing off on the systems, that ultimately control our world. And it makes me so happy because in 2013, most of us were against the system.
Yeah.
And what's much better than us against them is us going through the collective process of evolving together, where it's not us against, but us learning together, where our sort of philosophies are infiltrating the system so that we can have a collective transformation, which is a much better way of, it's an evolution rather than a revolution, which is a much better way, I think, to advance civilization for the generations that come.
Well, I think, and to carry on that, like, and maybe this breaks it down too simple, because you're talking on more of the higher physical, emotional, like the good side of it. But what I sort of see is sort of the same thing we've seen. How do we get users into different Web3 protocols? Through incentivization. So how do we get higher institutions and companies into Web3 onto blockchain? Is through incentivization. How does it make it better for them?
Yeah, we wouldn't be where we are today if the BlackRocks and the Fidelities and the ETFs and governments around the world didn't see something in it for them.
Yeah.
It's in the incentivization, whether it be in the individual level or the biggest financial organizations or governments themselves finding an incentive for themselves. Otherwise, we'd be looking at a war between the new and the old. But our goal is not to leave the old behind. Our goal is to invite them to become part of the new. So the old just
that's the best way to grow.
Out.
That's the best way to grow is not just grow by yourself, but grow with those that are around you, bringing people up. So like the classic line that we use a lot, a rising tide raises all ships.
And that's the goal. We're not trying to leave anyone behind. This is an open system where everyone is invited. We don't exclude anyone that is willing to take the leap.
So, as you've had a finger in governments, in a lot of different companies, you've also had a lot of hand in different technologies, especially those surrounding Bitcoin. You've had a hand. One of the great talks I remember 3 years ago. Miami, during Quantum Miami, used to be North American Blockchain Association, Libre.
Now it's WAGMI.
Yeah. But still at the James M. Knight Center. But Libre and Libre Wallet, and you actually had like a spin to win sats every day.
Yeah, Barry, Libre, I guess I'm going to give some alpha right now. So Libre was born out of, I gave speeches around the world about how Bitcoin would address financial inclusion and the unbanked in the world and the poor, the third or fourth worlds. And I led the first formal delegation into El Salvador to bring a team of people to assist President Bukele with the implementation of his Bitcoin law. 70% of the population of El Salvador at the time was unbanked. And I was there with Ben Sigmund, who I'd worked with for a long time. And I was embarrassed by the fact that you couldn't send a Bitcoin transaction quickly and with nearly no fees. And so at some point, if it's not happening, you do it yourself. And so the name Libre came from El Salvador, in liberty and freedom. I bought Libre.org while we were there. And Ben started working on basically a chain for Bitcoin and Tether to be able to make US dollar and Bitcoin transactions anywhere in the world nearly instantly and nearly free. And if you go take a look at it, you can look up Bitcoin Libre in the App Store. You're going to see what I believe is the most advanced system for Bitcoin and Tether transactions and DeFi lending that also is in compliance. And Ben was just telling me, Brock, thanks for this one. I showed him how to do it so it wouldn't create a taxable event either. And if you lend Bitcoin, you get your same Bitcoin back. If you go play with it, market cap's at $1 million. You can go test it, and it doesn't mean it's going to be a financial success, but we've been tirelessly working the last 3 years, not promoting, and you're about to see all that stuff launched in the next 2 or 3 weeks, meaning you're going to see something before everybody else sees it, which is usually a good place to be.
Then this is where you usually hear stuff, because I just bring up random things.
It just so happens that project is finally finished building what is arguably the best product in market for what it does. And no one knows yet because we haven't told anyone. Sorry. I mean, you brought it up.
We didn't tell anyone.
Hold on. You brought it up. And so I have hundreds of things I've done. You happen to bring up one in a very timely time where...
That's like almost like... Okay, so I got to ask some hard questions so that people don't think that was a softball pitch.
It's not. I mean, I think, first of all, your reputation precedes you. And I'm not a promoter. I've never even encouraged, and you can go back and watch every speech.
Wait, no, I gotta argue. You are a promoter. You promote every freaking good person you meet.
Well, I promote people, I promote ideas, I promote learning, but I encourage everyone to think for themselves and do their diligence and their research. You'd be hard-pressed to find any speech, any news interview I've ever done where I've ever told anyone to invest in Bitcoin beyond $100, but not as a financial investment, but an investment in their own knowing and learning. I believe in empowering people, not telling people what to do, but showing them so that they can make informed decisions for themselves. Because I don't ever want to feel responsible for giving bad advice, and I don't give financial advice.
It's one of those things where people just look to us because they're like, oh, you must know something. And I'm like, no, I'm a monkey. I click buttons. I click a mouse. That's what I do very fast, lots of times. So there's a lot of different technology moves that you're doing. There's a lot of political things you're doing. You're now at the table of the Trump administration even. And then I feel like I've seen you since then, but the last time I remember seeing you and talking to you was in Puerto Rico with Eric Adams, mayor of New York, and he was a Democrat then. He's not a Democrat anymore.
I had dinner with Eric Adams last night in New York, and then I went from dinner to here.
Your schedule sounds like mine.
I was just in Ukraine last week, Ghana, yeah, it's crazy. But Eric Adams, it's worth noting, talked about Bitcoin when he won the primaries in his mayoral run. His first action when he won the election as mayor, his first action as mayor-elect, is he announced he's going to take his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin.
And that paid off.
A day after winning the election. Meaning he's not someone new to this. He's someone that has been an advocate, a believer, a supporter of innovation, knowing how important it is to New York City. And now that we have a crypto president, it's very possible we may have the most important mayor, a crypto mayor, actually in a position to truly advocate because he's no longer a Democrat. He's an independent like Mayor Bloomberg was in his second run. Nice.
Yeah, and there's sordid histories. And you're around long enough, you always will have a sordid history in some way, shape, or form. Someone will try to throw bud on you in some way, shape, or form. But you've actually keep moving forward through all of that. And most recently, one of the things that you've sort of moved forward with and been a part of is it could be called DNA House originally, and DNA Fund, now DNA Bank, DNA Lend. What does DNA stand for to you?
Well, I mean, DNA is a great acronym. Everybody knows it. It's the meaning of the acronym when we first named it was Distributed Network Advisors, but that was backing into the acronym, not,
Yeah.
The acronym was what we liked about it, the double helix. It's back to as above, so below, going deep into what we are. I mean, it's, I actually think it's a phenomenal brand, and we launched it in 2016-17, and after the bear market of 2018, I'd also co-founded Block One, EOS, and I told my partner Scott at the time, we did more ICOs than anyone in the world at the time. I said, I don't need to be dealing with more government discussions. Can we please just put the business into hibernation, which we did. And then I said, about a year and a half ago, I said, the landscape is changing. The thing that I had been most nervous about, having done so much originally, is we're about to see a shift. The U.S. government, I predict, is going to become pro-crypto. I said, we're going to see ETFs actually happen this time. Enough of incentives exist for the powers that be that that's going to happen. Our numbers are now such that we're going to have an impact in the elections, which it means we're going to have a voice, and policy is going to start to move around our needs because we are a constituency with enough money and enough votes, and we care about the future so much so that our votes, we're going to be heard. And I would not have predicted I would have predicted less than what we've gotten. Donald Trump has done so much for us, and in doing so much for the world in terms of our collective movement, mean, we're not even 90 days in.
Not even.
And the dominoes are going to fall. I mean, I deal with 44 of the 54 African nations. I served in the United Nations representing every country in Central and South America. I deal with half the Caribbean countries, Eastern Europe, Asia. Every conversation with government is, we're waiting to see what America does, with the exception of a few. Now that America's made its move, this is going to happen, everything we've been waiting for, and it couldn't have happened sooner because we weren't ready. We had to work out the kinks. We had to go through everything the global financial system did at the last 100 years, we've done in 10.
Yep.
Every time we've had one of these major events, it was a necessary event for us to learn and to grow.
Yep.
And that's why I've never seen them in the negative. They're part of the process. And we didn't have the user interfaces, the security. Everything is happening exactly when it was meant to. And what a time to be alive, what a time to be present, what a time to be involved in influencing the future, a future that can work for everyone and one that we all want to live in.
Yeah.
And to everybody that's contributed in whatever way you have, thank you for your presence. Thank you for your participation. The future needs you.
Fuck yeah. So, two things that I think we have in common. One, we both had the same New York Times writer write about us. Is that?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But then I was going through my head while you were talking, so I apologize if I looked distracted. I was trying to think of a question that you haven't been asked yet. All right? So I thought of one. Put up your hand. Put up your hand like this. Other hand. Turn it around. What does this ring represent to you? And where did you get that? What is the story of that ring?
It's a $2.50 U.S. gold coin from 1889.
Okay.
Back when money was precious metals.
Yeah.
And so part of it is a reminding of our history, right? This is back when our money was made of gold, and most people don't even know there was a $2.50 coin.
Yeah.
And so that's what that is.
Nice.
That's a U.S. dollar, $2.50 gold coin. Back to as we're progressing through monetary systems.
A reminder.
And as a reminder. So I wear the past to remind me of where we've come from in that case.
So the reason I asked is because we both seem to have a flat ring on our middle finger. So where did you buy that? Or where was it given to you?
It was given to me by my brother.
Where?
He gave it to me in Puerto Rico.
All right. So mine is actually a compass. I got this in Lisbon in some random shop that just the world told me to go to. I was lost in Lisbon.
And we always need our North Star.
Exactly. So as we wrap this up, what is the biggest call to action? Where can they find you on Twitter, and spell it out for the algorithm?
At Brock Pierce, B-R-O-C-K. Like Brock is just a rock with a B on it. It's like a rock but bolder. Brock Pierce, kind of like, we'd pierce the veil or pierce your ear. Let's go for the veil collectively. But, if it helps you hear, P-I-E-R-C-E. So at B-R-O-C-K, P-I-E-R-C-E. I'm on Instagram, but there's my middle initial, J in the middle there, Brock J. Pierce. And I'm all over the place. And I'm on the, I make the crypto circuit every now and again.
Just like DAOs stand for disorganized autonomous organizations.
Hey, there's truth in all of it.
Yes. So, all right. So what is the biggest call to action?
Well, I think right now you have permission to build in ways you never had. March 7th, 1 month ago and a day, the world changed. We were a fringe community, a big one albeit, that was being debanked, still ridiculed by many, still persecuted in many instances, and we are no longer having to operate in the shadows in the dark, even though our technology has never been about that.
Permissionless, open source.
But we now have permission in a way where we are being acknowledged, recognized by the powers that be as a system of good, as a system of transformation, as a system of change that is necessary. I mean, for every Americans left the country in droves. Almost every American created their companies internationally. We are now recognized, acknowledged, appreciated, and being encouraged to build. So let's grow. Let's go.
Let's freaking go. All right. I want to thank you, as always. It's great seeing you around the world. Man, it is an honor. And as always, my words of wisdom are always the same. A closed mouth cannot be fed, and you cannot feed a closed mouth. Meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity, opportunity can never come a knocking. If opportunity does come knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. With that, we wish you all a good night, and we will see you, Paris Blockchain, Day 2, tomorrow.